Hello and welcome back to this Orbiter 2016 video series. I'm Tex and this is episode 8 of Journey to Saturn. In the previous episode we got back up here to Deep Star after we landed on the surface of Titan. And in this episode we're going to leave Titan behind and head over to Saturn's other moon called Rhea. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so we're actually starting out here. I've already got a plan set up on TransX, and I just did that to save time because we do have quite a lot I want to cover here. I want to go ahead and get us to Rhea in this episode. Hopefully we'll have time to get in orbit, but if anything, we'll at least encounter Rhea. So I'm doing this, like I said, just to save some time because we do have a lot to cover. Now what I've done, you can see I've got the plan set up on TransX, but the relative inclination is really high. So I'm going to swing that line of nodes over on top of the ejection point and basically do a similar maneuver to what we did when we departed Earth. So in other words, we're going to coast around to the ejection point. We're roughly slightly over a day out from our ejection time to get to Rhea, according to the plan. So what we're going to do is coast around to the ejection point, do a prograde burn, and raise the orbit altitude far enough away from Titan that it will minimize the delta V required to bring down relative inclination per the plan, but not so far that we completely escape Titan's gravity well. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and speed time up here, pull up burn time real quick, take a look. We've got 65,302 meters per second. Total delta V remaining in Deep Star. That should be more than enough to visit a couple moons here and get us back home safely. So we'll go ahead and expedite this, and I'm just going to say maybe, I don't know, maybe around 100 seconds until the burn. You can see begin burn is counting down at about 187 seconds right now. But I think if we conduct the burn about 100 seconds out from the ejection point, so in other words, when begin burn says 100 seconds, it's probably going to be my best guess on how much time until we should do the burn. So that's quickly approaching. We are now 10 seconds away. I went ahead and just put in some delta V there for burn time. I'm just estimating purely 600 meters per second, and we can adjust that as needed. Okay, so let's go a little further, actually, taking a look at burn time there. Half of burn time was 43 seconds, so let's go now. We'll do half of what burn time was estimating there for the 600 meter per second burn. So we are burning, and I just want to monitor, let's see, which number was it? I'm not seeing it here on Stage 1. It's been a little bit since I did that episode, and my, how quickly I forget things. Seems to me there was a number down there that told me the MJD that I was looking for according to our plan for the ejection MJD, and I'm not seeing it now. Let's just go ahead and continue burning. Okay, so I'm just slowing time down. I just want to just make sure that I know what I'm doing here. Okay, so we know we're about, let's see, APT, PET, so I guess we're not to periapsis yet, which is the reason PET is still counting down. And I want to know how long until periapsis after we've passed it. So in other words, how long it's going to take us to go around a complete orbit, taking into account this high apoapsis we're raising our altitude up to here. Okay, let me just think for a second here. let's go back over to TransX, and so the eject date is 59,406 and it is 59,405. So like I said, it's just slightly over a day out. And if we do some calculations, I think it's like 86,000 seconds, I believe, is a full day, if I'm not mistaken. But PET is not telling me what I want to see, because we haven't actually reached periapsis yet, I guess. So if I look at APT, that's not really helpful. Okay, so I'm just going to keep burning here. I know we're probably going to at least put in 600 meters per second. And, you know, I just don't see that number on there. Maybe, I guess, the PEMJD number there on the left side on TransX will become more accurate for me once we pass periapsis. I don't know. Let's keep burning and just see what happens here. Alright, that involved a lot of thinking, but I think I figured it out. Basically, we did the burn, and it looks like, according to the left side here, PEMJD is 59406.4, which is pretty much our ejection date here on the right side. So I think we're good to go. All we need to do is coast up to apoapsis and perform the plane change. So let's just open up external MFD here for the align plane, and let me see if I can figure out how to do this again. I want to go to ELS and manually input inclination 41.48 degrees and longitude of the ascending node 186.7. Alright, so that looks good. Let's just go ahead and cut forward in time until we get up to the descending node, I guess it would be. and we'll perform this plane change. Okay, we're just about to the node, and we are pointed in the correct direction. I'm going to actually manually hold the ship here, and we're burning. The autopilot just won't quite hold the ship oriented correctly, so kind of have to stay on top of it here, but relative inclination is coming down quickly, and we're going to get it close to 0. A few taps of the main throttle, and that will suffice. We'll make another course correction to relative inclination as we coast down to periapsis again. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're just going to coast back down until we're maybe about 2,000 seconds out from the ejection burn. And then we're going to just go ahead and get ready to perform that. Alright, so as we drift down, you might have noticed we actually kind of fell a little bit out of Titan's strong SOI, but we were still within its gravity well, so there was no issue there. But yeah, so we're sort of just falling back down towards periapsis. I noticed that our periapsis has been adjusted a little bit. I should say it's raised up a little bit actually. So let's adjust the PE distance here to reflect that, and I suspect that's just because of the inefficiency of that plane change I did by manually orienting the ship, so no big deal. We'll just adjust the eject orientation now, and we can also go ahead and bring relative inclination back down to 0. Swing that line of nodes over on top of our current position, and we'll just use some linear RCS and translate up or down as needed until we bring that relative inclination down to 0 again. And there we go. That's looking good. That didn't take very much at all. So, all right, we're all set. Okay, so let's continue coasting down to the ejection point here. All right, we're almost to the ejection point. I've pointed the ship prograde. Let's pull up burn time calculator here and put in 455 meters per second because the delta V is showing to be about 459, so we'll undershoot it just a little bit. And at this point, begin burn is counting down, just over 100 seconds until we get to the burn. And we'll let burn time go ahead and conduct this burn for us, and we'll clean it up ourselves a little bit after it's completed here. Okay, begin burn in 0, and we're burning. So as I'm burning here, I'm also watching, of course, the delta V, but the semi-major difference down on the very bottom of the left MFD there. Sort of want to try and get that semi-major difference as close to 0 as I can, along with delta V. Relative inclination looks great. It's right there on 0, so no issues there. Okay, we're almost done with the burn, about 10 seconds remaining here. And there's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and engine cut off. Now let's finish it ourselves. Just a little bit of, a few little bumps on the main engine there, some linear RCS. Should do the trick. Semi-major difference is nice and low, so I don't see any issue with that. Delta V looks fine, and relative inclination looks fine. So at this point, I'm just going to rotate over to the left a little bit so we get a nice view of Titan as we drift away from it here. But right now, there's nothing else to do. We just need to sort of coast out of Titan's strong SOI, and then we'll see how bad the plan actually was and conduct any necessary course corrections as needed to make sure that we do in fact have an encounter with Rhea. Alright, as we drift away here from Titan, that just looks spectacular, and it has been a very interesting moon to visit, no doubt. And speaking of Titan, I'm working hard on my Titan documentary. It is really looking, well, at this point I guess I've just done research and I've gotten most of the script written, but I have to say that it's looking really cool, so I can't wait to see it all together in the editor with the images that I'm compiling, and really excited for that one. I was hoping to have something out while we were here at Titan, but I'm just not going to rush that. I really want these documentaries to be really nice, really polished, so they're definitely not going to be coming out as often as these Let's Play videos. But anyway, yeah, with that said, let's see, we've escaped Titan's gravity well. So you can see that our closest approach at Rhea is actually not that close, unfortunately. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to use some linear RCS and just take a look at the map program over there on the right side on IMFD, and I'm just going to, monitor periapsis here and just try and set that reasonably low. I anticipate that it's going to fluctuate some because we're still quite a ways away from Rhea, but it shouldn't fluctuate too much. We'll get it down to maybe 100 or so kilometers above the surface. I mean, that's really the target that I think I'm going to shoot for. Rhea is not very big compared to Titan. Titan is by far the largest moon orbiting Saturn. And because Rhea is so small and it's relatively close to Saturn, we're going to have to get pretty darn close to it to get any amount of real gravitational influence from it. And even then, it's going to be difficult to remain in a stable orbit around Rhea just because Saturn is such a dominant gravity well. It will be more interesting trying to go to other moons that are even smaller, like Enceladus. So that will definitely propose some unique challenges along the way. But yeah, I'm definitely thinking we should at least visit Enceladus as well. So with that said, yeah, you can see I'm just basically using some linear RCS here, and periapsis is getting pretty close to dropping under 1,000 kilometers there. And it's just being a little finicky with me, so I'm having to use up and down, left and right, forward, backward, whatever combination seems to work to try and get that down. So I'm just going to keep playing with that for a moment longer and see if we can't get that closer to about 100 kilometers above the surface of Rhea. Okay, we're getting pretty close now. Well, there's just under 200K. And this is probably going to be close enough, but let me just play with it just a wee bit more here. See if we can't get that right down to about 100, maybe just under. Okay, so that's under 100. So maybe just take it lower, just to make sure that we actually essentially almost hit Rhea. So yeah, that looks fine. So we're time accelerating now. We're at 1,000 time acceleration, and we'll just monitor that periapsis. Looks like it's fluctuating a little bit, like I said, but it's not getting too far off. If it starts getting over 1,000 kilometers, we'll probably readjust it here, and it's climbing up there. It's almost over 1,000, but no big deal. It shouldn't take that much more adjustments to fine tune it. So we're still just time accelerating here. We'll go to, I guess that's 10,000 times, back to 1,000. And just try and expedite this. Trying to keep the video as short as I can. But like I said, it was quite a lot to cover in this one episode. And alright, so we are pointed prograde. And let's just go ahead and probably make one more adjustment here. Probably this will be the last one that will be required, because I don't anticipate it will fluctuate too much. And you can see it really didn't take that much, actually. It's already down to 230. And just try a few different directions here, and we'll get it right down to 100 again. Okay, so I actually went under 100. We'll just time accelerate, get a little bit closer to Rhea. Okay, so I've just adjusted our view here so we can sort of see Saturn and we can see Rhea in the background. And let's just go ahead and time accelerate a little bit more, and let's take a look and see how periapsis is doing. I did make one more minor course adjustment with linear RCS, and I guess we're close enough now that it's really not budging off of 100K, so that's fine. That's the altitude I'd like to target, and so everything looks fine at this point. We're just going to continue coasting forward, and not too much longer we should be encountering Rhea. Alright, we'll just expedite things a little bit here. You can see Rhea actually right there, so there it is, it's in sight. We're going to continue coasting a little bit closer to it. We can open orbit MFD on the left side, and let's go ahead and reference Rhea so we can monitor the G field contribution here. It's of course currently at 0. I do not anticipate that we're going to see much on that until we get quite a bit closer here. Alright, so that's probably going to be close enough. At this point, we'll just slow time down right about here. And yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty good spot to go ahead and leave it, because in the next episode, it will not take that long at all to just go ahead and do a quick capture burn here at Rhea. We'll circularize the orbit, and we'll go ahead and conduct the landing on the surface. I'll go ahead and just rotate towards Rhea, do a quick save for you guys right here. So if you want to pick up right where I've left off, you can do so in the scenario pack that I have available on my website. Alright guys, listen, as usual, that's been a lot of fun, and really appreciate you guys following this series. Hope you're all doing really well, and until the next episode, take care, and I'll see you guys then.